I'm Pradiyatri, you're watching TimesXP and welcome to the top US news today. Los Angeles is facing a tense and emotional moment as protests and unrest shake the city over immigration raid ordered by none other than Donald Trump's administration. In response to the growing chaos, which has included protests, looting, and even fires in some neighborhoods, the city has announced a partial curfew in several downtown areas. The curfew will begin at 8 p.m. each night and last till 6 a.m., although it does not apply to local residents or the workers. Mayor Karen Bass addressed the public with a calm but firm message. She said that the city needs help, but not from Washington. In particular, she rejected the idea of federal forces coming into Los Angeles. Instead, she asked the Trump administration to stop the immigration raid that have sparked fear and anger in the community. According to her, the real cause of the unrest is not the protesters, but the actions of federal immigration agents who have been targeting immigrant workers. Do you remember? Just days before the protest erupted, immigration officers raided a Home Depot parking lot and a local clothing factory in Los Angeles. Over 40 immigrants, many of whom were simple day workers or factory workers, were detained. Well, these scenes deeply upset many residents and triggered protests, specifically in the neighborhoods with large immigrant population. People took the streets to express their frustration not only at the raids, by the way, but at the broader message being sent by the federal government that immigrants are a threat. President Trump responded to the unrest with very strong words, calling the protest a full-blown assault on peace and national sovereignty. He even threatened to send in the military by invoking a rare but very controversial law. This law is called Insurrection Act. This law allows a president to deploy military forces inside the country during moments of extreme disorder. But using it without a state's permission is highly controversial and rarely done. California's Governor Gavin Newsom quickly pushed back. He reminded everybody that state governments have the right to control their own National Guard units and that Trump has overstepped by deploying troops without any approval. The state is preparing to sue the Trump administration, arguing that the president violated state sovereignty and made the situation worse by ignoring local leadership. In her press conference, Mayor Bass made it very clear that law enforcement in Los Angeles was already doing enough to control the situation. What they really need, she said, is the federal agents to stop targeting immigrants who are just trying to live and work in peace. Now, this moment is about more just one city or one protest. It reflects a deeper national divide over immigration, power, and the role of federal government in local matters. Many people in Los Angeles, specifically in immigrant communities, feel that they are being treated like outsiders in a country they have called home for years. Thousands of Indians trying to apply for a US visa are suddenly running into a strange and frustrating problem. They are getting logged out of the US visa appointment website without any clear reason. Many of these applicants are on H-1B route, which is used by skilled professionals like IT workers, engineers, and tech employees to live and work in the United States. Here is what's happening. Some users created their visa profiles and began the application process just like normal. After verifying their email or their ID, they came back a day later to complete the form. But instead of being able to move forward, they were blocked. No warning, no error message explaining the entire issue, and worst of all, no way to continue rescheduling an appointment. Even switching browser like Chrome to Firefox didn't work for some of them. It's a technical glitch, but a glitch with serious consequences. You know what's causing even more panic is that there is no official statement from the US Embassy or the State Department about this particular issue. So far, there has been complete silence, and since this website is the only way for applicants to book their mandatory in-person interview at the US consulates, being logged out is a big problem. Missing an appointment could mean losing a job offer, not being able to travel to the US on time, or even falling out of legal immigration status. This comes just days after reports that United States President Donald Trump's administration is pausing many F-1 student visa appointments, specifically the first-time applicants. Now, with this mysterious website issue, it seems other visa categories like H1B and B1 or B2 business and tourist visit may also be delayed. Many Indians have tried contacting the official support team, hoping for answers or help, but most are either getting no reply or very generic responses that don't solve their issue. And that's adding to the sense of helplessness. What makes this even worse is the timing. June and July are peak visa months for Indian students heading to the US universities for the fall semester and for professionals who are starting new jobs. Any delay now could ruin carefully laid plan from university start dates to work onboarding schedules. India is the biggest source of the US visa applications every single year. In fact, more than 1.2 million Indian visitors, students, and workers traveled to the US in 2023 alone. So, even a small technical error in the scheduling system can affect thousands of families, careers, and dreams. JD Vance, who is now the Vice President of the United States, has landed in the middle of an unusual controversy, and it all started with a fashion blogger making fun of his clothes. The fashion blogger is Derek Guy, who is quite popular on social media for commenting on men's clothing. He often posts about how politicians dress, specifically those in the right wing, and sometimes he mocks them by pointing out their ill-fitting clothes or awkward outfit choices. JD Vance has been one of his regular targets. Recently, Derek Guy revealed something deeply personal. In a long post, he shared that he came to the US without legal papers when he was just a baby. His parents had crossed the border illegally and he grew up as an undocumented immigrant. Over time, he built his life in America and feels very much like he belongs here. He wrote that my identity and roots are in this country. But this honest admission kind of sparked a reaction from Vance's supporters. They began joking online that Vance should deport Guy, specifically since the blogger had been poking fun at Vice President's pants being too short. JD Vance himself responded with a GIF of actor Jack Colson grinning and nodding, which many interpreted as a playful but pointed message, as if to say, "You asked for it." Well, things escalated when the official account for the Department of Homeland Security even joined the conversation, replying with a meme from the Spy Kids movie, suggesting that they are now looking into Guy's immigration status. Instead of backing down, by the way, Derek Guy clapped back with humor. He posted more jokes about JD Vance's fashion choices, including photos where Vice President's sleeves looked too tight and his trousers seemed short. He joked that "I think I can outrun you in these clothes." Well, some Vance supporters responded with harsh comments. One person wrote that Mitch trying to outrun the VP would be the funniest fail of the year. Another one wrote that you don't have to outrun JD Vance, you have to outrun ICE, referring to the Immigration and Custom Enforcement Agency. Guy, who is originally from Vietnam and also lived in Canada before settling in the US, didn't stop there. He used sarcasm to question the conservatives, mocking him, asking, "Wait, who won the US-Vietnam War?" Well, the entire situation shows how social media, fashion, politics, and immigration can all collide in an unexpected way. What started as a light-hearted joke about a politician's pants has now turned into a national conversation about identity, belonging, and what it means to be American. Guy later reflected on the strange turn of events, saying that honestly didn't expect this is what would happen when I joined a menswear forum 15 years ago. I was just trying to dress nicely for somebody's wedding. Well, the story may sound humorous on the surface, but it also reflects a serious and ongoing issue in the US. A recent viral video from Newark Liberty International Airport in the United States has caught a lot of attention online. It showed an Indian man being pinned down and handcuffed by airport officers. Well, the video was shared widely and many people were kind of shocked to see the treatment that he received. Now, more details about the incident has come out. The man in the video is from Haryana, India. According to the officials, he had entered the United States without a valid visa, meaning that he came to the United States illegally. Because of this, a US court has ordered his deportation, which means that he had to leave the country and return to India. Well, this report is confirmed by NDTV as well. On the day of his scheduled deportation, the man was at the airport. However, reports say that his behavior was not considered suitable for travel. That's when airport authorities stepped in, restrained him, and later took him to a medical facility. He is now under care and will be sent back to India once doctors confirm that he is healthy enough to fly. Well, the Indian consulate in New York is involved and is in constant touch with American authorities to make sure that the deportation process is handed over properly. The incident gained more attention when an Indian-American entrepreneur named Kunal Jain shared the video online. In his post, he said that he saw the young Indian being treated like a criminal and said that the man came to America chasing dreams, not to cause harm. Well, his tweet struck a chord with many Indians abroad, specifically students and families who worry about such situations. The Indian government has since responded to the matter and confirmed the man's immigration status. Officials also pointed out that while it's very important to feel sympathy, entering another country illegally can lead to very serious legal trouble, including detention and deportation. This case highlights a growing concern, by the way, among Indian students and travelers, how to stay safe and follow legal immigration procedure. With increased immigration enforcement in the US, many undocumented individuals are facing stricter action, and even minor issue can lead to arrest and deportation. Well, it's a reminder for everybody who's planning to go abroad, specifically to the US, that having proper documents, visas, and a clear immigration status is extremely important. Recently, United States President Donald Trump made a surprising statement. He said it's an honor to have international students in the US. He added that we want them, but we also want them to be checked. You know what? This shift in tone comes after months of tough rules that made it tougher for foreign students, specifically from countries like China and India, to enter and stay in the US. In fact, back in 2024, Trump had even promised green cards to international graduates from top US universities like Harvard and MIT. He said that it was sad to see such talented students forced to leave the country. However, those promises never came true. Instead, after returning to the power, his administration brought in stricter rules, stopping visa interviews, limiting entry for foreign students, and even trying to block access to universities like Harvard. One such order was so extreme that a federal judge had to stop it the very next day. There was even a moment when Trump suggested limiting foreign students to just 15% of the total student population, a move that shocked many educators. Well, despite this confusion, Indian students still see the US as a dream destination. But they are also very cautious now. Education experts in India say that students should try to focus on their studies, but also be aware of changing immigration rules. Akshay Chaturvedi, who runs Leverage Edu, advised students to keep studying hard and avoid getting distracted by political changes. Free speech and protest matters, he said, but every country has its own rules and the US is no different. Another education expert, Rahul Subramaniam, pointed out that US universities actually depend a lot on Indian students, not just for academic strength but also for money. He believes that current situation is temporary and will eventually improve. The third educator, Abhijit Zaveri from Career Mosaic, said that the students who were deported or faced problems usually broke some of visa rules, like working without permission or taking part in sensitive political protests. According to him, law-abiding students on F1 visas generally don't face any kind of issue. But you know what? The number tells a different story. Even though Indian students made up the largest group of international students in the US in 2024, that's about 27% of the total, the situation is changing fast. From March 2024 to March 2025, the total number of international students in the US dropped from 1.15 million to 1.02 million, an 11% decline. But for Indian students, the drop was much sharper, 28%, and that too from over 354,000 to just 255,000 only. In the meantime, the number of Chinese students actually increased by 3.28%, reaching around 263,510. So, what's causing this drop? Education experts like Chris R. Glass from Boston College says that it's not just politics. Many Indian students are avoiding the US because of high tuition fee, long visa delays, and better options in countries like Canada, Australia, or Germany. There's also fear. Stories of Indian students being mistreated, handcuffed, or deported are spreading fast on social media, and that's scaring their entire family. Glass warns that international students, specifically those doing masters and PhDs, are not just extra help for US science and research. In many areas, they are the entire system. Losing them means losing future innovation. After living in the United States for over 10 years and building a solid career in the tech industry, an Indian professional returned home in January 2024. But his journey back has turned out to be far more difficult than he ever expected. His emotional and brutally honest post about trying to readjust to the life in India has gone viral, and it's striking a chord with many Indians living abroad who are thinking about coming back home. This man had studied for his master's degree in the United States, worked at top Fortune 500 companies, and was even in the process of getting a green card. But when his company laid off 300 people and ended his green card application, he was left with no choice but to return back to India at the end of his H-1B visa term. He hoped that this would be a fresh start, a chance to reconnect with his roots and build a life in his home. But what he found instead was frustration, disappointment, and cultural shock. In his online post, he talked about how hard it has been to live in Indian cities again, first Delhi, then Mumbai, and finally Hyderabad. No matter where he went, he struggled with basic things. Things like roads full of potholes, thick dust in the air, endless construction, and inefficient services in even well-developed apartment buildings. One of his main complaints is about the daily life condition. He described how even in a high-end apartment complex, showers didn't work properly, the dust in the air was affecting his health. On the roads, he says that it felt chaotic and unsafe. Drivers ignored signals, people parked wherever they want to, and it was very common to see public urination or garbage thrown out of the car windows without a second thought. He wrote that I feel devastated. I'm dying here. Now, this post triggered strong reaction online. Some people sympathized and agreed that once you get used to the life in the United States, where public systems work more effectively, efficiently, and civic sense is generally better, it becomes very difficult to adjust to Indian cities. Others pointed out that infrastructure in India has improved a lot in recent years, and his struggles may have more to do with his personal disappointment after losing his job and green card dreams. There were also people who had returned to India and who were happy about it. One user shared that they moved to a small town in India after 14 years in the US, and now they live near their parents. They feel less stressed and more connected to their family. Another one, who was born and raised in the US, said that while India may have its own problems, they have come to appreciate the warmth of the community and the cultural richness that's often missing in the Western countries. Now, this story shows a deeper issue that many NRIs and immigrants face: the emotional and practical difficulties of returning home after living abroad for years. The contrast in infrastructure, public behavior, and lifestyle can be jarring. While India is growing fast and improving in many areas, things like civic discipline, clean public spaces, and efficient urban management still has a long way to go. At the very same time, it's also about perspective. Some returnees find the meaning in being close to their families, reconnecting with their roots, and contributing to India's growth. Others feel stuck between two worlds, unable to find peace in either. So, is India difficult to return after living abroad? Well, the answer isn't simple. If you're an Indian planning to settle in the United States permanently through a family or job-based green card, there's an important update that you should know. The US government releases a document every single month called the Visa Bulletin. which tells people when their green card applications can move forward. The July 2025 Visa Bulletin has brought some hopeful news specifically for many Indian applicants waiting in long lines. Let's break it down in a very simple way. First, we'll talk about family-based green cards. Good news for some this particular month. Certain family-sponsored green card categories for Indian applicants have moved forward, meaning that some people are now a little closer to getting their green card. If you're unmarried and your parent is a US citizen, that is called F1 category, your waiting period has moved ahead by more than a month, from June 8, 2016 to July 15, 2016. A big jump happened in the F2A category, which is for spouses and children of the green card holders. The date advanced from January 1st, 2022 to September 1st, 2022, a massive 8-month leap. The F4 category, which covers siblings of US citizens, also moved slightly ahead from October 1st, 2006 to December 1st, 2006. So the question is, what does this mean? This means that if your application was filed before these new dates, your green card case might now be eligible for the next step, either approval or filing for status adjustment. Then comes job-based green cards. For employment-based green cards, most categories haven't changed much, but there is a small bit progress we can say for a few. If you're a professional, skilled worker or other worker under EB3, the final action date moved by 1 week, now set at April 22, 2030. Then comes EB1 for top-tier professionals like scientists and researchers, and EB2 for advanced degree holders that didn't move at all. They remain stuck at February 15, 2022 and January 1, 2013 respectively. EB5 investors still have different rules, but for India, nothing has changed this particular month. But what are these final action and dates for filing? Well, if you are new to all this, here is an easy explanation. Dates for filing tell you when you are allowed to submit your paperwork, and final action date tells you when the government is all ready to make a decision on your case. For family-based green cards this month, most progress has been in the final action date, meaning approvals can move forward. For employment-based cases, no movement in dates for filing means new applications might face some delays. Also, USCIS, that's the immigration agency, will soon announce which set of dates you will use in July. This will decide if you can submit your application or not. Also, in our recommendation, always check their website for further details. You know why this is important? India has one of the highest number of people waiting for US green cards. In 2023, about 3.32 lakh Indians were studying in the US, and many of them eventually apply for work or family-based green cards. But since there's a per-country cap that is 7% and high demand, Indian applicants face very long waits, specifically in the employment category. This July update brings a little bit of hope, specifically for the families. If your application date is close to the updated bulletin dates, it's a sign that your long wait could finally be moving forward. In the end, tracking the visa bulletin regularly is a smart move for anybody applying for a US green card. Even a small date change can make a big difference for thousands of people. This month, family-based applicants from India see the most movement, while job-based categories continue to face slow progress. Still, any movement forward is better than being stuck. A heartwarming video is melting hearts across the internet, and it's not because of any big celebrity or any fancy award, but because of a simple emotional moment between a daughter and her parent. Devshi Bhartia, an Indian woman working at Walmart's headquarters in the United States, shared a very special video of her parents visiting her office for the very first time. And for many Indian families, it's kind of a dream moment that means more than just any job title. In the video post on Instagram, Devshi is seen proudly walking her parents through her workplace. From the meeting rooms and gym to the bright lobby and workspaces, her parents look around with a mix of awe and proud. Their faces light up not with surprise alone, but with deep happiness. Her father looks around curiously, and her mother's expressions were filled with pure joy and wonder. Devshri wrote in her caption that her parents had never seen such modern, well-equipped office spaces. For them, everything, the design, the facility and the energy was completely new. But what mattered the most wasn't the size of the office or how stylish it was. It was the pride that felt seeing where their daughter works. A daughter who has studied, worked really hard, moved across the world and built a successful career in one of the world's biggest companies, and that too in the US. Now that moment of walking her parents through the very space that she had dreamt about for years was something Devshri called priceless. She said, "Proud parents is what a child wants." And that one sentence struck a deep chord with thousands of people online, specifically those living and working abroad. Many children who move abroad for work carry a quiet dream. The dream that one day they will bring their parents over, not just for a visit, but to show them what their hard work built. The life, the career, the journey. Not everybody gets that chance. Some can't afford the trip, others are too busy or live far away. So when people saw Devshri's parents enjoying the moment, they felt deeply personal. The comments on her post were full of love and emotion. One person said that this is every son's or daughter's dream. Another one wrote that their smile says everything. And many others shared how this video reminded them of their own parents, the sacrifices that they made, the hopes that they carried, and how meaningful it is to give them even a glimpse of your world. Let me tell you, this video isn't just about any office tour. It's about gratitude. It's about showing your parents the result of their hard work, their support, the job that grew from their love, and the success that started with their prayers. For many Indian tech workers who once lived and worked in the United States, returning home isn't just a geographical shift. It's a financial and emotional roller coaster. The main reason? A huge drop in salary. People who once earned more than $100,000 in the United States are now preparing to work for less than 10 or 12 lakh rupees per annum in India. Sometimes even less than what a fresher might earn in a top Indian company. Now, this massive gap is becoming a hot topic, specifically as more Indians are either being forced to return from the US due to strict visa rules or choosing to return for personal reasons like family or long-term uncertainty. A recent discussion on Reddit brought this particular issue into focus as Indian professionals began sharing what this shift really feels like. One user asked, "How are you preparing for this big reality check?" The answer showed just how complex the situation really is. In the US, $1,000 a year is considered a good starting salary for tech jobs. It allows you to live very comfortably, specifically if you are single. But back in India, even highly qualified tech workers, sometimes with master's or PhD degrees, are being offered salaries of just 10 or 15 lakh rupees a year. To put this into perspective, then that's a salary often reserved for mid-level managers or even freshers at big firms in India. What's making things worse is that inflation is rising in India's biggest cities. One user pointed out that to live decently in a metro like Bangalore, Mumbai or Delhi, you need at least 40 to 50 lakh rupees a year. From rent and groceries to school fees and transportation, everything has become more expensive. So when somebody returns and earns a fifth of what they used to, the lifestyle change can be overwhelming. Well, the situation is made even more stressful by what's happening politically. With US President Donald Trump once again pushing hard immigration policy, many Indians on H-1B visas are losing their jobs or facing hurdles in visa renewals. For them, returning to India is no longer a choice, it's becoming necessity. But not everybody is seeing this in a negative light. Some returnees say that living in India brings other kind of peace. No more visa headaches, a chance to be closer to your aging parents, and on the top of everything, more emotional security. One person who was earning $500,000 in the United States said that, yes, it will be a big adjustment, but at least I won't be waiting for the next layoff. Another important factor is the cost of living comparison. While $1,000 in New York can sound really a lot, it doesn't go far when you factor in high rent, health insurance, taxes, and other living costs. Some estimate that isn't similar to earning about 30 to 40 lakh rupees in India. But even with these calculations, people say that the drop to 10 lakh rupees is still hard to swallow. Still, a few voices are trying to stay hopeful. One PhD holder posted that adjustment is part of life. The income gap is big, but it also means that there's a lot of room to grow in India. Others say that this shift could push returnees to build their own businesses, switch to remote jobs with the global clients, or explore newer career paths in India's growing startup and tech space. In the end, this transition is much about money. It's about self-worth, identity, future plans, and family. That's it for today. Thanks for tuning in, and do follow TimesXP for more such updates.